What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today we're going to be going over the new artifacts coming in Rise of Iron. I've got gameplay of most of them in action, showing off their abilities and their powers, what they can do, and we also have much greater detail on the conditions of how they work and what you need to do for them to activate that we didn't know before. So as you can see, I've got access to all 8 of them. However, 2 of them I can actually use or demonstrate because obviously nobody had swords. We didn't have swords in the build, so we couldn't test deflecting projectiles. Also, nobody had a thorn on or any burn damage, so we couldn't really see the reduction of burn damage. Those are 2 we can't use. The other 6, I've got full gameplay showing off exactly how they work. So let's go through them one by one and show off exactly what they do. So first we have the Memory of Timer. So when you melee, normally it will have a chance, a small chance, probably I'd say like 20%, 30% of turning that enemy into a friendly. In my time playing, it seemed to only work on the red bar enemies, so not the ultras, the yellow bars. It doesn't matter if it's a shank or a dreg or a captain or a wizard, as long as they have red health bar, they seem to for the most part work on them and then turn friendly. You don't need a melee charge for it to activate. It's simply just a small percentage of every melee that will of course also damage them at the same time, but also has the chance to turn them into friendly. So this effect is going to last for 30 seconds and then they'll wear off. And also if you melee them again within that 30 seconds, you can turn them back into enemies. I have no idea why you'd want to do that, but you can if you want. So this knight does an okay job. You can see how he fares kind of shooting another knight. This guy had a boomer, so pretty decent damage, but most of the time he seemed to miss. Of course, it's the same AI that they normally use, so most of the time they're pretty inaccurate. They're not that great at damaging each other. I mean, mostly it's just for fun, a little bit of a novelty. You can turn multiple enemies in, but of course they're only going to last for 30 seconds. And of course, if you've got teammates that are all running it, you can run around meleeing a bunch of enemies and have them all turn friendly. They won't follow you or anything. They won't like try and track you and like be your personal companion. They'll stay in the same area, but they will kill any enemies if they're in the area. If not, they'll just like sit there and do nothing and be in their kind of like passive state. So it doesn't seem like a massively helpful artifact. It's not really efficient, but it is definitely fun and definitely cool to try out. So next up we have the Memory of Felwinter. Now this one is really interesting. This of course takes away your super completely, and also it gives you 2 nades and 2 melee charges for free. It's not going to stack and give you 3 at all. Bungie said that's not going to be how it's going to work. It's impossible to get 3 melee or grenades, so it won't stack with exotics. But of course it lets you use a different exotic. If you'd normally use the Armamentarium for double grenades, you can use something else instead. But this is also going to boost your stats, and it appears to boost your intellect, discipline, and strength, not your armor, recovery, or agility. So the interesting thing is that it appears to be tier 15 capable, so you can get 5 intellect, 5 discipline, and 5 strength completely maxed out. As you can see, I was tier 11, nearly tier 12, and I had no perks on my armor. So none of my helmet, to my class items, my ghost, absolutely nothing had, even the artifact itself, nothing had any intellect or discipline. So I was completely bare bones, and I was tier 12. Just bear that in mind, or nearly tier 12. So imagine if I was able to unlock some of the intellect and discipline and strength nodes, I would have easily been maxed out at 555 or tier 15. But the thing I've realized is that while that sounds cool to have tier 15 stats and a 555, it's actually useless because remember, you don't have a super, so why do you need a 5 intellect? Tier 10 is technically good enough. All you really need is 5 discipline and 5 strength, because you're not going to have a super. It doesn't matter at all if you got 5. So it gives you tier 15, but it's a little bit strange because you don't have a super. So something I've thought about, not sure if Bungie intended it, but something pretty interesting for sure. So that's the Memory of Felwinter. So next up we have the Memory of Scory. Now this previously we thought just always gives you a faster supercharge for your teammates, but actually looking at the artifact, it does tell you it will only activate when your super is full. So the teammate with this artifact has to basically not use their super, and only when theirs is full, they will charge their teammate super a little bit quicker. You can see on the top is the one with the artifact, and you can see it's charging a little bit faster. It starts off behind and then ends up catching up and overtaking it. So it's a good bit faster, probably I'd say 1 block of intellect. And you can see the player called BNG Destiny number 6 has the artifact on. He's slightly glowing a little bit, and you can see the super energy flowing between the players. It kind of like tethers you together. You can see this visual light effect. You can see them building their super. And when I'm within range, it says joined Scory's Harmony as a buff on my screen, so I know that I'm getting more super energy. So next up we have the Memory of Peru. Now this one I didn't actually get to use myself. This footage is from a good friend of mine, another Destiny YouTuber called Arex. So massive thanks to him. He actually got to capture it at Gamescom as well. And this is his footage that he kindly sent to me. So this gameplay demonstrates perfectly how the artifact works. So anyone with a low health is going to be outlined in red, and enemies with a super will be highlighted gold. This one doesn't seem all that useful to me. It's pretty hard to spot in normal gameplay speed and the pace of things. It's pretty hard to notice the actual red or gold outlines. And I've naturally got used to looking, I think most people have got used to looking at the light level box to see if it's flashing. And that of course normally indicates if they have a super. So that's pretty much half the artifact pretty wasted. Seems a little bit useless to me. And on the low health side, I can't see that being useful either. I mean, only you with the artifact can see the outline. And if you got the enemy low health, you're obviously going to know about that because you've been shooting at him. So I personally won't be using this myself. Doesn't really provide me with much information that I wouldn't already know. So maybe that's just me, but let me know your your thoughts on this. And again, a massive thanks to Arix for sharing with me his footage of this artifact in action. He also made a video demonstrating the artifacts with gameplay and also a really detailed video on the timer turning enemies friendly as well. So if you want to see more of that timer artifact in action, he made a really good in-depth video on that, so I'll link in the description for you to check out. So moving on to the next one, we've got the Memory of Deon. This one's pretty simple. It just gives you the Night Stalker Keen Scout radar, which is more detailed. And the radar also stays when you aim down sight. So it's basically like the third eye perk for free, which is really cool. This is definitely the one that I use the most, and most of my gameplays were just using this artifact. They're very helpful, very useful. So probably my most favorite one, to be honest. So next up, we have the Memory of Yoda, which is very interesting. This one removes the cooldown delay on sprinting, and what a lot of people thought for the longest time was a glitch or a bug and called it the sprint glitch. It's actually a feature that Bungie deliberately put into the game to limit ability and make sure you aren't constantly sprinting all the time and sliding and constantly having no cooldown on that. But this removes the cooldown completely. You can see me starting and stopping sprinting right here. It's a pretty simple one, doesn't make you run fast or anything, but it removes that delay so you can start sprinting very quickly. So the other one I want to mention is the Memory of Silumar. Now this one reduces damage over time and the burning effect, which is pretty much the Thorn counter. Now I found out looking at the description of this that actually only works in Crucible. It's a bit disappointing. I would really love to see this in PvE as well and see it reduce the burning effect. I'm guessing Bungie thought it might have been a little bit too overpowered, seeing as there's a lot of PvE burning, and like the Siva actually has a lot of burning effects as well. So this is only going to work in Crucible against things like the Thorn and Burn Nades and Night Stalker burning nades as well. I guess they thought it probably would have been a little bit too powerful. Maybe there are raid mechanics that involve burning, they want to get rid of it altogether. So this artifact is only going to work in the Crucible. And the 8th and final artifact, of course, is the Memory of Radagast, which allows your sword to reflect projectiles like grenades or supers, nova bombs, stuff like that, which is going to be very interesting for sure. So those are all 8 artifacts in my gameplay of them. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and of course leave your thoughts down below in the comment section what you think about them, which one is your favourite and which one you think you're going to be using. Of course, got more Rise of Iron videos on the way shortly, so stay tuned to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.